What's going on, everybody? It's Space Cowboy here. Welcome back to the channel. We got some reaction content for you guys here today. So I'm finally getting to the video titled "The Dallas Cowboys Are Serious Contenders," done by Football Analysis. So shout out to them for making this video. If you want to go check out the original and like it and all that other stuff, by all means, go check it out. I'll try to put that in the description box below. If I forget, I do apologize. But with that being said, I'm going to react to what this guy has to say. If it makes sense to say that the Cowboys are serious contenders, it's a cap. We'll get through all that in today's video. Please make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, hit that notification bell, and leave a comment down below. Do you think Dallas is a serious contender? I know a lot of us don't, but let's just see, does he make sense here? So let's get into it.
Finished the year 12-5, and quarterback Dak Prescott threw for the most touchdowns in franchise history with 37. Corner Trayvon Diggs had a great season as well, as he had an absurd 11 interceptions, and they also had the Defensive Rookie of the Year award winner in Micah Parsons. Dallas has a lot to look forward to, as their roster is overall pretty solid, but the question that we are going to try and solve is, how will they do in 2022? They traded receiver Amari Cooper this offseason, they lost Randy Gregory to free agency, and franchise left tackle Tyron Smith is out indefinitely, and they will be starting a rookie to protect Dak Prescott's blind side this year in first-round pick Tyler Smith. And in today's video, we will be previewing the 2022 Dallas Cowboys, and without further ado, let's begin. And when looking at the 2022 Cowboys, the first thing we are going to do is take a glance at their schedule. They have a Week 9 bye, and it's not unreasonable to think they can be 5-3 or 6-2 at the Week 9 bye, with losses who I believe to be at this point in time a combination of the Bucs, Bengals, Rams, or Eagles. And the good news for Dallas,
I do agree with that there. I think that the biggest benefit that Dallas has is their schedule. And it's one of the weirdest first-place schedules that I've seen. And again, we don't know what we're going to see. But if I'm being optimistic, and one thing that I can say that can bode well for Dallas is that realistically, they have a really tough first two games that can set the tone for the year. Going through this 1-1 or 2-0 would be fantastic. And I think this would calm a lot of nerves. However, a start to 0-2 wouldn't be shocking, but let's put it this way. And I predicted this, by the way. I think the Cowboys come to the bye week at 4-4, and I think that if you're anything above 4-4, you're good. Do I see 6-2? No. I can understand the argument for that, but if we're being real, I think that 4-4 should be the barometer for what we're looking to see. If the Cowboys are better than that, that's awesome, because it bodes well for the rest of the schedule, which he might talk about. So let's move forward.
Within this is they play both Tampa and Cincy at home, and it's not crazy to think they can start out the year 4-0 and head into SoFi Stadium in Week 5 against the defending champion Rams as one of the few remaining undefeated teams.
I'm going to just put a side note here. Him saying that we can start 4-0, I understand you're at home and stuff like that. I think that if the Cowboys win the first two games, I think they will start out 4-0, given the circumstances to New York and Washington. But I think that facing LA, the defending champs, facing Cincy, facing Tampa Bay, and Philadelphia, which a lot of people have been talking about Philly, great barometer. That's all I'm going to say.
Will they, of course, is another question, but even after their Week 9 bye, their schedule isn't that bad. Back-to-back games in Green Bay and Minnesota obviously isn't friendly, but their schedule could be far, far worse. And it's not egregious to think this team can win 11 or 12 games like they did last year.
Yeah, I mean, it really comes down to how they do in the beginning part of the season, and I touched up on this last go-around in one of the previous videos I did, where the biggest game of the year will be after the bye week in Green Bay. Because when you look at that game, right, you could be looking at a team that is 4-4, 5-3, 3-5, I don't know. But you'd be looking at a team that game is going to either, send you on a crazy win streak, or it's going to spiral your season out of control. That's why it's important that the Cowboys set the tone early. Because, and like I touched up on it, it's not unrealistic to think that this Cowboys team can win 10 plus games. The thing is that, like, what can you do outside of that fact that's making them a serious contender? So keep that in mind.
CeeDee Lamb will step up in 2022, and I don't worry about him being able to, quote-unquote, play number one corners every week and be able to hang with these guys. And CeeDee, I don't want to say only, but only had 120 targets last year and still put up over 1,100 yards.
That's a big point there.
Keenan Allen, the Charger star receiver, had 37 more targets than Lamb in 2021 and only put up 36 more yards over the course of the entire season.
That's some good information.
And this isn't to slander Keenan, it's to show CeeDee is going to be fine and is a very productive player. Mike McCarthy, Kellen Moore, feed him the football.
Yes. I know that there's a lot of people that question if CeeDee Lamb can be a number one, but the fact is, and he, and this is what I will say, if you give CeeDee the ball, he will produce. And I hope that the Cowboys do that. My biggest issue is that if Kellen Moore doesn't do that and Mike McCarthy doesn't do that, that's going to be a serious problem for Dallas down the road.
There's simply a lot of mouths to feed in Dallas's offense, and there were 3 players with over 100 targets on the Cowboys in 2021, the other being Amari Cooper, who, as we discussed, is now in Cleveland, and tight end Dalton Schultz. And by the way, Keenan Allen's quarterback, to go back to this for a second, is pretty good, so it's not like we were discussing DJ Moore versus CeeDee Lamb in targets, who had Sam Darnold throwing him passes last year. Will there be a bit of a drop-off from the second wide receiver now that Amari is in Cleveland? Yes, there will be, and Amari is kind of an underrated player because he's been productive wherever he's been since his career started in Oakland back in 2015. I worry more about Jalen Tolbert, their third-round pick from this year, than I do CeeDee Lamb. While it is unfortunate Tyron Smith is out for what is now, as I record this video, months, I don't think it's the end of the world for Dallas because he's going to miss time. This is always a grim subject to discuss, but Tyron has played 13 games over the past 2 years, missing 14 in 2020 and 6 last year, though 1 was due to resting starters, so in this case, 5 due to injury. Dallas was obviously well aware of this, and this was in some part why they selected Tyler Smith in the first round. They also lost La'el Collins in free agency to the Bengals, but even in the worst case scenario, if Tyler Smith, a rookie first round pick, has to start at left tackle, the first several games aren't that bad in terms of a pass rushing gauntlet he would have to face. Remember, Tyler as a prospect was a very good run blocking player. Tampa will be tough with Joe Tryon-Shoyinka and Shaq Barrett, and in week 2, Trey Hendrickson from Cincinnati is a solid player, but throw a double team towards his side because Cincinnati's D-line isn't overly dominant and help the rookie out. The same thing applies with the Giants in week 3, with who knows how healthy Kayvon Thibodeau will be by then, and recently it was announced Chase Young will miss the first 4 games for the Washington Commanders. And within all of this, behind the scenes, Tyron Smith will most definitely be helping his rookie out and helping him in the film room with things such as...
All right, I got to stop it there for a second because the fact is that when Dallas selected Tyler Smith, if their plan was to play him at left tackle the whole time, then he should have been getting reps at left tackle. That's my biggest gripe. And now you bring in Jason Peters, who he's not probably going to play until later. So now that begs the question, okay, is this guy really going to start for you and you're going to put Tyler at left guard, or are you just going to keep him as an insurance? I don't know. But I think what's really good about Tyler, and I'll say this, is that he's a sponge of taking in all this information and how to be a better player. That I do really like about him. My problem is like, okay, so you got this rookie but the fact is that, and he says, oh, you lost La'el to the Bengals. No, this is a big thing, and I wish he touched up on this a bit more. We lost La'el because we elected to move on from him. Now, whether you like the move or not, I think that, and I'm not sure if he's going to touch up on this, that's a big question mark on Terrence Steele. Like, Terrence Steele, we still don't know fully, is this guy legit? right? And I'm not trying to sit here and dog on the guy because he had a really solid campaign last year. But we have to be real and say, you look at this offensive line. We have questions at left tackle. Can Tyler Smith play and play well? Your left guard, can Connor McGovern step up? Your center, can he get better? Can he start calling pass protections? Your right guard, durability concerns, as he gets older. It's going to be a legitimate, discussion going forward. But so far, we're fine. Your right tackle, do you have the guy there? The Cowboys have a ton of question marks. I think the real thing to say is if they answer all these questions in the good way, in a good ending, so to speak, they'll be fine. But in a real world, you're going to see struggles, right? Yeah, Tyler Smith's really good at the run blocking, which he did a fantastic job at Tulsa, but the biggest problem is how the Cowboys will go about things. If they elect to go towards a passing-like offense, which I don't think they will, that could serve problems. Tyler Smith was penalized a lot because he had poor technique. Hopefully, he fixes that, and I think that's something you can't teach power, strength, and everything like that. You can teach technique, so hopefully he learns that.
Hand placement on a pass rusher and timing deep punches and when to be aggressive and when not to be aggressive, as he's done this for over a decade and counting. And I will go ahead and go out on a limb here, very long tree branch limb, and say Tyron is a very good left tackle. While him being out obviously isn't good for the Cowboys, I don't think they are as hopeless as some people seem to apply. And over the course of the season, Tyler will certainly progress and grow into his own and be fine by season's end. What will
hopefully
also benefit Dallas and be fun to watch in 2022 is the running back duo of Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard. 2021 marked the 4th time Ezekiel went for over 1,000 rushing yards in his career out of 6 seasons, and in the 2 times he didn't go for 1,000, he had 983 yards in 2017 in 10 games, and went for 979 yards in 2020 and missed a game, his first game, due to injury. Tony Pollard, on the other hand, averaged a yard more per carry than Zeke in 2021.
Side note, I'm going to be doing a video on Zeke on whether or not this is a make or break year for him, and I kind of touch up a bit on that, not to try and get super spoilerish, but yeah. Yeah, I think the Cowboys, that run game is going to be important because you have the Joneses saying that, yes, this is going to be a huge component. And I think really you look at last year, that running game was huge, but the reason why it was good was because it was efficient. And I think a lot of people have this misconception on running the ball for the sake of running the ball versus running the ball because it's working. The Cowboys ran the ball because it worked last year, and it came down to their offensive line playing well and their running backs being healthy. I hope to God that continues, because if that offensive line struggles, your running game is probably going to struggle. So,
and is in the final year of his contract. It's pretty much expected that he will get paid next offseason by someone, and with players on this team that will either need contract extensions or is actively being paid a hefty chunk of change in Dak Prescott, Zeke, soon to be CeeDee Lamb, and Micah Parsons, there's a very high chance Tony is done in Dallas after 2022. And with how much money the Cowboys have invested in Ezekiel, I do think the running back carries will be pretty split down the middle. Dallas isn't going to say, hey, Tony, we wish you the best for you in your future in the middle of the season, knowing he is more than likely gone at the end of the year, and run Ezekiel more because of this. It would be the opposite, and why not? Tony has been a solid back when called upon and had over 1,000 total yards last year. And when discussing the Cowboys, there is naturally a ton of attention on the offensive side of the ball, and understandably so, but the defense has the potential to be very, very good this year. They are, of course, led by Micah Parsons, who in his rookie year had over 80 tackles, 13 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, and was a first-team All-Pro. It truly cannot be said enough how good of a player he is, and when you factor in he's only 22 years old, coming off of that insane of a rookie year, it's hard not to project what he can be for, forget the next 2 or 3 years, but the next decade. There is more to the defense than him, and there is, of course, Demarcus Lawrence, who is a 2-time Pro Bowl player, but played in only 7 games last year. With Lawrence, Leighton Vander Esch, the recently signed Anthony Barr, and everyone else, the important thing to remember here is health. If they can stay healthy, I don't think this unit will be top 2 or 3 in the league, but they will be more than good enough to put the Cowboy offense into position to win games and ultimately win playoff games.
Okay, so before I get he is right there. I think the one thing that I can give the Cowboys, and going into this year, it's really nice to see that this is probably going to be a team led by your defense, and that's going to be a key thing. You know, you got Micah Parsons, you have all these pieces, and I think the big thing is that everything is being set in stone. While your offense is being retooled, your defense has pretty much been set up to a point to where really the only issue is your interior defensive line and how the linebackers play. If the Cowboys defense can be top 5, top 10, this team will be just fine. As long as I look at it this way. If the offense is middle of the pack, but the defense is top 10 or 5, the team will be very good. But the one key indication is that, you know, defenses from year to year are harder to match than offenses. And so, you know, stats prove this. And even if statistically this Cowboys defense is worse than last year's, if I'm being real with you guys, as long as the defense does its job, gets turnovers, and puts the offense in better position to score, we'll be fine. And I think that, listen, we don't have to win by blowouts. While it is appreciated, just win games. All that matters is you win. Even if it's a final score of 2-0, 3-0, whatever, no one's going to care unless you win. You know, if you lose, different conversation, but if you win, no one's going to give a shit. So there's that.
Because remember, while they did lose to the 49ers last year in the wild card round, they only gave up 23 points. This team also led the NFL in scoring in 2021, and with a solid ground game of Zeke and Tony Pollard, this inevitably helps the defense continuously stay at the top of their game because they are more refreshed when they go back out on the field.
That is true.
As simple as this sounds, this is a big reason why football is such a team game, and what a lot of the time it boils down to most, time of possession and field position. And to go back to a point earlier in the video regarding the Cowboys' schedule, I want to compare the end of their schedule to the defending champion LA Rams, and why I think the Cowboys' potential in 2022 is as high as they want it to be.
Okay.
You can see each of the team's final 5 games, and without a doubt, the combination of the 3 AFC South teams versus the Raiders, Packers, Broncos, and Chargers in consecutive weeks is much more friendly. The one big concern I have with the Cowboys isn't that they're the Cowboys or they're going to choke or the factoid that Cowboys haters love to share on Twitter pretty much every day, that they haven't been to an NFC Championship game since 1995 or anything like that. My biggest concern is Mike McCarthy. I really worry about his decision-making and his process of decision-making within games, such as him punting the ball very late in the 49ers playoff game last year, not once, but multiple times, when I personally thought they should have been going for points rather than field position, and I don't fully trust those types of decisions from him. I think in an analytics-moving league, Mike McCarthy is a couple years behind.
I'm going to just say this real quick. I know we're, got one more minute left in this video. Mike McCarthy, and I want to say this because many people are forgetting the coaching staff we had previously. You know, I get the penalties are a big thing, and yes, there are moments where I'm like, Mike, what are we doing here? The fact is Mike McCarthy is a lot more aggressive than Jason Garrett ever was, and this is something that I think that benefits the Cowboys. Now, I do put into question Mike's use of analytics, but I'm going to just say this right now. Mike at least talks about these things, and we actually see some results. Jason Garrett said we don't do anything like that. So the Dallas Cowboys have made a lot of progress when it comes to the use of analytics. Is it as advanced as I would like it to be, and I'm big into analytics? No. For me, I don't give a shit. Go for it every single time. If it's 4th and 1, go for it every single time. If it's 4th and 5 and you're in opponent territory, go for it. And the Cowboys have had this propensity to go for it more so than not. But my problem is they have to stay aggressive, right? I don't give a shit how a game's going. You have to keep the pedal to the metal. I know some people don't like that. Some people double clutch, like I like to say, when they're like, well, Space, we can't do it because I don't care. The fact is you've had many games where you could showcase, you know what, guys? We're going to put our balls on the table. We're going to go for it. We're going to go for it, and we don't give a shit because there were games like in New England where we went for it, and I was like, yeah, go for it. Did it work all the time? No. But the fact is you're aggressive. You're willing to take these chances. If you get bit in the ass, that's okay. But you know what? Think about it this way, and I want to make sure I paint this in this light as we wrap this up. If the Cowboys are way more aggressive, right, and the Cowboys are actually doing what they need to do, and they aren't looking like a bunch of pansies, no one's going to care. Because if they actually succeed in these 4th and 1 attempts, or this, that, and a third, yeah, there have been games last year where it's like, what are we doing? But you know what? It's a lot better than what we had previously. And I think a lot of people forget that.
But from Dak, from CD to Micah, Jaron Kearse, who is a very underrated player, by the way, and Trayvon Diggs, I trust those guys are going to do their jobs and perform and consistently at a high level. The ceiling for this team to me is around 12 wins, and I think they will be in a hell of a dogfight for the division title along with the Philadelphia Eagles. I like a lot of guys on this team and want them to perform well, and we will soon find out how their season will go. And with that being said, that's all I have for today.
Alright, so I'm going to stop it there. That's clearly the end of the video. So to wrap up my thoughts, this kind of tells me that the Cowboys have a formula, but it's the question marks that are going to determine how far this team goes. Now, I still am going to hold firmly that this is really an 8 to 11 win team. The schedule is favorable, but the thing for the Cowboys is that what does the landscape of the NFC look like? We kind of understand that the Packers have got a little bit worse. You still have the Bucks with Tom Brady. The Rams are still in play. The Eagles are on the rise right now and are looked at as big favorites. The Saints are still a team that's still around. There's a lot of teams, and Arizona and San Francisco. There's a ton of teams in the NFC. All I could say is Dallas, just get into the tournament and just see what happens. And for Mike's job, he's going to need to get this team on track and into the postseason. And you got to win. So I don't think they're serious contenders. I think that's something that will be emerging as we go further into the year. I really don't see contenders until we actually get into the season and we start getting towards the end of the season. But then you'll start seeing some true color show up. So for the Cowboys, I think that right now they are a solid team that should be able to make a wild card push at the worst. At the worst, I have them at 8 games because they fall off the rail. But my point is that this team can be good and win the division again if question marks are answered properly. If not, got ourselves a problem. So guys, that has been that. I hope you guys enjoyed this reaction content. Please make sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Please tell me down below, how do you feel about this? Do you think the Cowboys are serious contenders or not? And I will catch you guys in the next one. All right, guys, have a great rest of your day.